Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are staring into the abyss. And honestly, I think the abyss might be staring back. We are looking at a scenario for Delta Green called Observer Effect.
It's a classic for a reason.
It is, and if you've ever wondered what would happen if you took the movie Groundhog Day, mixed it with the cosmic horror of H.P. Lovecraft, and then sprinkled in the absolute terrifying isolation of Event Horizon, well, you'd get this scenario.
That's a pretty perfect description. It's a time loop scenario for Delta Green, but that almost feels too simple. It's really Groundhog Day meets Lovecraft, or like you said, Event Horizon in the Chicago suburbs.
Exactly, and it is dense. I mean, it is really stressful. Just reading through the handler's materials for this, my own heart rate went up. Because usually in a role-playing game, time is a bit fuzzy.
It's abstract.
To travel here, it takes a few hours, whatever. But in Observer Effect, time is literally the enemy. You have timestamps down to the second. It's relentless.
Precisely. And that presents a unique challenge for the game master, or the handler, as they're called in Delta Green. Running a time loop is notoriously difficult for a number of reasons.
Oh, I can imagine.
You have to track multiple timelines, these very specific timestamps, and this is the hardest part, I think, the players accumulating meta-knowledge.
Right. That's the thing. Because the players sitting at the table, they know what happens in the last loop, but their characters might not. Or maybe they do, but it's fuzzy. And that's what we're here to sort out today.
Exactly. How do you manage that information transfer without just, handing them a cheat sheet in-game?
So consider this our handler's cheat sheet. Our mission for this deep dive is to take all these great sources, the scenario text itself, the excellent play reports from groups like Role Playing Public Radio and the One Shot Wizards, advice from reviewers like Bud's RPG Review, and just distill it all into a practical guide.
A guide on how to actually run this thing without losing your own sanity in the process.
Yes, exactly. We're going to cover the hard timeline, the reset mechanics, the key NPCs you absolutely need to master, and really importantly, the physical tools you should probably have at the table to manage the chaos.
And I think we really need to dig into the why behind the loop, because if the handler doesn't understand the pseudoscience of the holobeam array, the horror just doesn't land.
It just feels like magic.
Right. It feels arbitrary. But it's not magic. It's physics gone horribly, horribly wrong, and that's way scarier.
Okay, let's unpack this. The basic premise is that the players are Delta Green agents. They're sent to investigate a communications blackout at this high-tech facility, the Olympian Holobeam Array. But it's not just a blackout, is it?
No, not at all. The facility is testing the holographic principle, which is a real concept in theoretical physics, by the way. It's the idea that our 3D universe is just a projection from a 2D surface at the edge of the universe.
Like a movie being projected onto a screen.
Sort of, yeah. But by observing that screen too closely, too intensely, they've accidentally created a feedback loop with whatever is on the other side of the screen.
And that loop is what kills them.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again.
Yes. This scenario is specifically designed to kill the player characters multiple times. The horror, the real death punch of it, comes from the slow realization that death isn't the end. It isn't even a failure state.
It's just a reset button.
It's a reset button that sends you right back to the start of the nightmare, maybe a little worse for wear.
So let's get practical. If I'm a handler, I'm sitting down to run this tonight, what do I absolutely need? Because one of the sources we looked at, the Queen's Court Games playthrough, really emphasized that there's a lot of information to convey very, very quickly.
It's an info dump at the start for sure. So the first thing you need physically on your table is the org chart.
The org chart. Okay, that sounds like I'm prepping for a corporate meeting, not a cosmic horror game.
In a way, you are. The holobeam array is a workplace. It has a hierarchy. There are scientists, engineers, security guards, janitors. When the agents arrive, they are going to be thrown into this mix of names. Dr. Campbell, Dr. Klinger, Dr. Takagawa, Officer Gonzalez.
And if you just read a list of names to your players, I mean, their eyes are just going to glaze over. I've been there.
We've all been there. Wait, who is Takagawa again? Is he the angry one or the quiet one?
Right. Was Klinger the IT guy?
No, exactly. And in Observer Effect, that confusion is deadly because you are on a strict clock. You do not have time for 20 minutes of, wait, who do I talk to about the weird humming noise?
Yeah.
So the recommendation is crystal clear. Print out the org chart that's provided in the scenario, or just make your own, and hand it to the players the second they walk into the facility.
So they can see the whole structure. They can see that Dr. Jamie Campbell is the director, and under him are the department heads. It gives them a mental map.
Right. It anchors them immediately. They know that Dr. Helen Klinger and Dr. Philip Black are in research. They know Takagawa and Evan Kozak are engineering. It turns a boring list of names into a functional map of social interactions. It allows the players to strategize.
They can say, okay, the director's stonewalling us. Who is his number 2?
Or, I want to talk to the head of IT. And they can just look at the chart and say, okay, that's Jing Fei Tsang. It saves so much time and frustration.
And beyond just the names, it establishes the social dynamics, right? Because Campbell being the director means he's the bottleneck. He's the guy who's going to stop you from doing what you need to do because of protocol.
Exactly. He's the obstacle. Having the chart lets the players plan around the bureaucracy. They can see that if Campbell is blocking them, maybe they can go directly to Dr. Cleaner, who is technically below him, but runs the actual science. It turns the NPC list into a puzzle board.
Speaking of boards and maps, this whole scenario takes place entirely within this one facility. It's a classic bottle episode.
It's a very, very claustrophobic bottle.
And one of the tips from, I think it was Prince Dabsalot, who did a great breakdown of running this, is to use the maps created by Dennis Detwiller. He's the artist and one of the creators of Delta Green.
Detwiller's maps are essential, I'd argue. They're clean, they're clinical, they look like architectural diagrams, which fits the tone of this high-tech lab perfectly. But there is a specific piece of advice here that I think is non-negotiable.
Okay.
Do not make your players draw the map.
Oh, interesting. Why not? That's kind of the old school D&D style.
Because of the time pressure.
Yeah.
Every second counts. If you are describing the dimensions of the laser bay and waiting for your players to meticulously sketch it on graph paper, you are wasting precious minutes of the timeline. Hand them the map. Here is the facility. Here's where you are. Boom, done.
That same source, Prince Dabsalot, also mentioned using tokens or cubes to track movement.
Yes, and I love this tip because the scenario relies so heavily on precise timing. Where is Dr. Klinger at 19.52? Where are the agents at 20.57 when she starts her rampage? You need to know exactly where everyone is. If the agents are in the break room, they might miss the scream from the lab.
Right.
Using physical tokens on the map removes any ambiguity. There's no argument later of, oh, I wouldn't have been there. You can just point to the token and say, well, your little plastic cube says you were standing right next to the reactor when it went critical.
It keeps everyone honest.
It keeps the hammer honest and the players accountable. It makes the space feel real and tactical.
Okay, so we have the org chart and the map. Now let's talk about what might be the most stressful prop of all. The clock.
This is a brilliant bit of stagecraft. It's a tip that comes up again and again in the sources. If you really want to ratchet up the tension, put a physical clock on the table.
Like a digital timer counting down to 0.
No, even better. An analog wall clock. A big one that everyone can see. But here's the trick. Take the batteries out.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Why a broken clock?
Because you, the handler, controlled the time now. Or, as one source suggests, you can appoint one of the players to be the official timekeeper. When the players spend 10 minutes debating a plan,
You just reach over.
you reach over and physically spin the minute hand forward 10 minutes. Click, click, click.
Oh, that is cruel. That is wonderfully cruel.
It's visceral. They can see their time slipping away. When they decide to spend 20 minutes searching Dr. Black's office, you move the hand. It makes the passage of time a physical, tangible presence at the table.
And since the whole loop resets at a very specific time, 22.03.37, seeing that our hand inch closer and closer to the 10:0 p.m. mark must be absolutely terrifying.
It creates a sense of impending doom that just saying, you have about an hour left, can't match. Seeing the clock face showing 9.45 p.m. is panic-inducing. It fundamentally changes how players make decisions. They stop optimizing for the perfect plan and start optimizing for the fastest plan.
Which is exactly the mindset you want in a survival horror scenario. You want them making mistakes because they're rushing. Now, there's one more handout that acts as a kind of anchor for the players, and that's the standing orders.
Right. This comes straight from the Need to Know core rulebook, and it's highlighted in several of the actual plays as being crucial. When Delta Green agents go on an operation, they have 5 priorities. And having these printed out right there in front of them is vital for observer effect because things are going to get weird.
They're going to need a touchstone.
They will. Their reality is literally falling apart. The standing orders might be the only thing that stays constant.
So what are the 5 priorities? Walk us through them.
Okay, priority 1, the prime directive. Stop the incursion. Whatever unnatural thing is happening, it must cease. That is the #1 goal.
Simple enough. Priority 2.
Obscure the incursion. The public cannot know about this. You have to minimize awareness, clean up the mess, create a cover story.
Okay. Priority 3. Obscure Delta Green.
Don't get caught. Or if you do get caught, you're a lone wolf. The organization doesn't exist. You disavow everything.
Priority 4. Secure Advanced Technology.
If there's weird alien tech or physics-bending machinery, we want it. Bag it and tag it for the program.
And finally, Priority 5.
Yeah.
Save lives.
And you have to note the order of that list.
Yeah, save lives is dead last. It's an afterthought.
That is the grim, brutal calculus of Delta Green. And in observer effect, this hierarchy of needs is tested to its absolute breaking point. The agents are going to be faced with a situation where they might realize that to fulfill priority 1, stop the incursion, they might have to. Well, they might have to completely violate priority 5.
You mean they might have to kill innocent people to stop the loop?
We'll definitely get to that in the solution section, but yes, that is the horrible choice at the heart of this scenario. The standing orders give the players the permission, structurally speaking, to make horrific choices.
It's their get-out-of-jail-free card for their own conscience.
Exactly. If saving lives jeopardizes stopping the incursion from Azathoth, the standing orders are clear. Let them die. Or make them die.
That is chilling.
Mm.
But hey, so we have our physical prep. We've got our maps, our charts, our terrifying broken clock, and our morally questionable orders. Now let's look at the beast itself. The timeline.
The master's schedule. This is the handler's Bible for the session.
The scenario is broken down into what it calls iterations. This is the loop mechanic. And everything, absolutely everything, hinges on that hard deadline, 22.03.37.
10.03 TM and 37 seconds. That is the moment of what the scenario calls perfect communion.
Which sounds lovely, but in this context.
In this context, it means Azathoth, the nuclear chaos, the demon sultan at the center of all reality, extrudes itself into our universe through the machine.
So game over.
It's worse than game over. It's the end of everything. But because the holobeam array is already messing with the fundamental structure of space-time, when that apocalyptic moment hits, reality just snaps back like a rubber band. It resets.
So let's walk through the iterations. Let's start with iteration 1. This is the long run.
Yes. In this first run-through, the timeline for the day starts at 10:00 m, but the agents likely don't get the call and arrive on site until around 17:00 or 5:00 p.m.
So they have about 5 hours before the apocalypse. No pressure.
Correct. When they arrive, everything seems mostly normal, a bit tense. It's a safety inspection, a communications outage. But there are already glitches in the matrix. The source material notes that if they think to check the security video feeds, the first interference, the first little flicker, happens at 17:40.
Just a bit of static.
A flicker, a distortion, a moment where the image seems to bend. But the first major event, the thing the handler needs to have highlighted in neon with big arrows pointing to it, is at 18.46.
6.46 p.m. What happened?
Dr. Takegawa wakes up.
Wakes up. Was he asleep? In the lab.
In a manner of speaking, he's in the engineering section. Suddenly, out of nowhere, he lets out this blood-curdling scream. He has seen the truth. The feedback loop from the machine has just hit his brain like a freight train.
This is the first big jump scare moment then.
It is. The agents are probably in an office interviewing Dr. Campbell, and suddenly this inhuman shriek tears through the facility. Takegawa is inconsolable. He's seen the court of God. This is the first real sign that this isn't a normal equipment malfunction.
And as a handler, you really want to sell this moment, right? This is the pivot point of the whole scenario.
Oh, absolutely. Before 18.46, it's an investigation. After 18.46, it's a crisis. Takegawa isn't just screaming. He's raving about non-Euclidean geometry. He's talking about angles that shouldn't exist. He's clawing at his own eyes because he can't unsee the mathematical impossibility of what the machine is showing him. It has to be deeply, deeply disturbing.
Okay, so Takegawa completely loses it. The vibe in the facility is ruined. Then what?
The next key timestamp for the handler's cheat sheet is 19.52, and this involves Dr. Helen Klinger.
The lead researcher.
She reappears.
Reappears. That implies she was gone in the first place.
She was. One moment, she's standing in the control room. The next, there's a flash of white-blue light and a deep sub-bass hum, and she vanishes. Seconds later, she reappears somewhere else in the facility, a hallway or a closet, completely confused.
Like teleportation.
Spontaneous displacement. She's being pulled through the hologram of reality. This is terrifying for the players if they happen to witness it. 1 minute she's standing there talking to them, the next snap gone. Then a security guard finds her down the hall, dazed and disoriented.
And this is where the why of the scenario starts to bleed into the what.
Yeah.
The holographic principle suggests that location is just data, and the data is getting corrupted.
Exactly. She's like a file on a computer's hard drive that got moved to the wrong folder by a glitch. She doesn't know how she got there. She just knows that for a second, reality felt thin, like paper.
And then I'm guessing things escalate quickly from there.
Very quickly. At 20.57, that's 8.57 p.m., Klinger snaps. She vanishes again, reappears, but this time she isn't confused. This time she has a purpose. She begins her mercy killings.
Mercy killings. That's a chilling phrase.
We'll discuss her motivation later, but at 20.57, she starts hunting the staff. She picks up a fire axe or finds a weapon, and she calmly and methodically begins killing everyone she can find. She believes she has to kill them to save them and to save the universe.
So now the agents are dealing with, for all intents and purposes, an active shooter.
An active shooter who can teleport at will.
That's just terrifying. And if they don't stop her, or they don't stop the machine.
22.03 arrives. The reset, Azathoth manifests. The facility is consumed in a storm of impossible light and sound, and then darkness. Silence.
Until they wake up. And we enter iteration 2, the pressure cooker.
This is where the true brilliance of the scenario's design shines. The players and their agents wake up. But they don't wake up at 10 a.m. They don't even wake up at 5 p.m. when they first arrive. They wake up at 18.46.
Wait, 18.46. That was the exact time Takagawa screamed in the first loop.
Exactly. The loop is degrading. The universe's save point has moved forward, closer to the crash.
That is so disorienting. So they skip the entire arrival. They skip the initial interviews with Campbell.
All of it. Gone. They wake up, likely standing right where they were at that time in the previous loop, and they are screaming their lungs out.
They're screaming. Why?
The transition isn't smooth. It's traumatic. The source text describes them waking up screaming at the facility with memories and everything happening again. It's a violent psychic jolt.
So they remember what happened.
That's the catch. It works like dream logic. The players at the table obviously remember everything, but their agents, for them, it's fuzzy. It feels like a horrible, vivid nightmare they just had.
The Queen's Court Games actual play had a great description of this. I think they said something like, it's clear and it's there, but in the way that you try to remember a dream, the more you think about it, the further away it's going to go.
That is a perfect way to handle it mechanically. You don't just give them perfect recall, you make them work for it. You can call for high intelligence checks to remember a specific detail, or maybe a sanity loss triggers a crystal clear memory. You remember dying. You remember the smell of ozone right before Klinger shot you?
So iteration 2 starts at 6.46 p.m. They have much less time now. The deadline is still 10.03 p.m.
Correct. And the chaos starts immediately. They wake up screaming, and right on cue across the facility, Takagawa screams with them. The facility goes from 0 to 100 instantly. There's no investigation phase this time. It's pure crisis management from the first second.
And if they fail again? If they can't solve it in those few hours?
Then they hit the reset and wake up in iteration 3, the sprint.
And when does this one start? Don't tell me.
20.57.
8.57 p.m. That's the exact moment Klinger starts killing people.
Precisely. They wake up, probably screaming again, bleeding from the eyes, and the slaughter has already begun. They have barely an hour to figure out what's going on and solve the entire scenario.
Talk about pressure.
Yeah.
And iteration 4, is there one?
Iteration 4 is game over. If they somehow manage to fail that fast, the start time and the end time become the same. It's perfect communion, the singularity. Azathoth is here. There is no reset. The rubber band is snapped.
So the loop gets tighter and tighter. It's not just about repeating the day. It's about running out of runway. The problem is accelerating towards them.
That's why that physical clock prop is so devastatingly effective. In iteration 1, you're moving the minute hand slowly, maybe every 15 minutes of real time. In iteration 3, you are practically spinning it with every decision they make.
Okay, let's pivot to the why of it all. We've got the timeline, the what, but what is actually happening here? You mentioned the holographic principle.
This is the pseudoscience backdrop that makes the horror feel grounded. The array is testing if the universe is a hologram. But in the Delta Green universe, any sufficiently advanced scientific inquiry is often a summoning ritual in disguise.
There's that great line from the scenario, we sense them, therefore they sense us.
That's the core concept in a nutshell. By observing the very boundary of the universe, the scientists created a connection, a two-way street. They've essentially opened a port on their firewall, and the source, which is heavily implied to be Azathoth, has noticed the incoming connection.
It's the observer effect.
Literally, the act of observation changes the thing being observed. But in this case, the thing being observed is a mindless, cosmic horror that eats reality for breakfast.
And this brings us to Dr. Helen Klinger. She's the primary antagonist, but she's not. She's not evil, is she?
She is a tragic villain.
Yeah.
And this is absolutely crucial for the handler to portray correctly. She isn't cackling or twirling a mustache. She is calm. She is rational. She has seen the truth, and it has given her a terrible clarity.
What is her logic? How does she go from scientist to axe murderer?
She realizes that consciousness is the medium for the connection. The machine is the telephone, but the human minds observing the data from the machine are the ones speaking into it. As long as people are observing the phenomenon grows stronger.
It's a bandwidth issue.
That's a great way to put it. The more brains processing the signal from Azathoth, the stronger the signal gets, and the closer it comes to achieving that perfect communion.
So to stop the phenomenon.
You have to stop the observation, you have to shut down the minds, you have to cut the bandwidth.
By killing them.
In her mind, it's a mercy killing. She's seen what's on the other side. She's saving them from an eternity of torment in the court of Azathoth, and she's saving the rest of the universe from being consumed. It's a terrible, logical conclusion.
That is twistedly logical. It's not insane rambling. It's a hypothesis she's acting on.
It is. And if the players manage to confront her and talk to her, she shouldn't attack them like a monster. She should calmly, maybe even apologetically, explain it to them. Don't you see? It's the only way. Their minds are the foothold. I'm sorry, but I have to turn off the lights.
That makes her so much more dangerous and compelling than just a monster. A calm, apologetic murderer with a clear goal. Now, she's not the only obstacle in the facility. We have the security guards. You mentioned Gonzalez. Yeah. There's also Henson, Pimlott, and Sherry.
These are the variables, the random element. They are trained professionals, ex-military private security contractors. They are not cultists. They are not in on it. They're just doing their job.
So how should a handler use them effectively?
Use them to complicate the player's speedrun attempts. In Iteration 3, the players wake up, they know the solution is smash the computer, so they might just decide to run into the control room and start shooting the server racks. But the guards see a bunch of FBI agents acting completely crazy and waving guns around.
The guards don't know about the loop. To them, this is the first and only time this has happened.
Exactly. For the guards, it's always Iteration 1. They see federal agents shooting at multi-million-dollar equipment or trying to assault a scientist. They will react. They will draw their weapons. They will try to de-escalate. And if that fails, they will engage.
So the players have to navigate that social encounter with the guards every single time or risk a firefight.
And getting into a firefight with a squad of ex-Rangers is a really good way to get your agents killed and force another reset, wasting precious time. They are a complication engine.
Right. Okay, let's talk about atmosphere for a minute.
What?
We need to sell the horror here. It's not just a tactical puzzle with a time limit.
No, it's sensory horror. The scenario writing emphasizes sound and light to build dread.
The sub-bass hum.
Yes. As the 10:03 p.m. deadline approaches, there is this low, vibrating hum that permeates everything. And layered on top of it, a cacophony of flutes and drums.
The music of Azathoth.
It starts faint, maybe bleeding through the speakers in the comm system. The handler should describe it, building. It starts as a distant sound, then a low hum that gives you a headache, then a vibration in your teeth, and finally, by the end, a deafening, reality-shattering roar. It's an auditory clock. White blue light. This is the visual cue for the glitch in reality. When Klinger teleports or when the timeline resets, everything is washed out in this blinding, cold, sterile light. It should feel unnatural, like a camera flash going off inside your skull.
Now, Delta Green is famous for its sanity mechanics. How do we use those as a tool here beyond just making numbers go down?
This is one of my favorite parts of the scenario's design. Sanity loss is used as a narrative tool to deliver exposition and reinforce the time loop.
How so?
When an agent loses sanity, the text suggests giving them a flashback. But it's not a flashback to their childhood or a past trauma. It's a flashback to a previous iteration of the loop that they, the player, didn't actually play through.
Oh, that's brilliant. So you're implanting a memory of a death they don't remember having.
Exactly. The player fails a sand check. You say, you lose 3 sanity. And as you do, you're hit with this sudden, gut-wrenching memory of being in this exact hallway before. The walls were melting. You remember Dr. Klinger raising a fire axe over her head. You remember the impact. You remember dying right here.
That reinforces the idea that they've been trapped in this loop hundreds, maybe thousands of times, not just the 2 or 3 times they played at the table.
Yes. It builds the immense weight of the loop, and if they suffer an acute episode, go temporarily insane, you can have them hallucinate the court of Azathoth. For a brief moment, they see the throne, they see the demon sultan, they hear the flutes clearly.
And then there's the physical toll. You mentioned this, the dream logic.
When the loop resets, it's physically exhausting. It's not a clean wipe. The source material has this great grotesque line about blue and white shit dripping from everyone's eyes.
Ugh, love
It's
them.
not a clean reset. They wake up exhausted, with nosebleeds bleeding from their tear ducts, their bodies ravaged by being violently pulled back through time.
It prevents that video game feel. It's not just hitting respawn. It's you barely survive the process of resurrection, and it hurt.
Precisely. There is a cost to dying, even if it's not permanent.
So we've tortured our players. We've killed them a few times. How do they actually win? How do they solve this nightmare?
There is a two-pronged solution, and most groups, in my experience, figure out the first part relatively easily, but they really struggle with the brutal logic of the second part.
Part one is shut down the array.
Right, the obvious solution. Physically destroy the computer, find a way to cut the power to the whole facility, find the emergency shutdown codes in the manual. That stops the machine from broadcasting.
But that's not enough, is it?
No. Because, as Dr. Klinger tragically realized, the minds are still connected. The observation has gained too much momentum. Even if you cut the power, the scientists who have been staring at the data are still connected to the source. Their brains are still resonating.
So they have to. Oh no, they have to incapacitate the observers.
This is the Klinger solution, and it forces the players to confront the absolute horror of their job and those standing orders they might have to knock out, or if they're desperate, kill the scientific staff.
Because save lives is priority 5.
Exactly. If they just smash the computer, you as the handler can describe the sub-bass hum lessening but not stopping. The energy is still spiking. And then they realize, as long as Dr. Campbell and his team are conscious and thinking about the data they saw, the door to Azathoth remains open.
So the players literally have to reduce the bandwidth of the observation.
That's a great way to put it. Each unconscious or dead human in the facility lowers the bandwidth.
That is unbelievably dark. You can just imagine the players running through the facility, knocking out scientists with the butts of their rifles or trying to find sedatives, all while that clock on the table is ticking down to 10.03.
Or, if they are desperate, just shooting them. The RPPR actual play had a fantastic moment where, after the fact, they discussed this. One of them said, if the observers were unconscious and you broke the array, that would have worked, and you could just hear the dawning horror in their voices.
Are there clues that lead them to this? Because that is a huge, monstrous leap of logic for a player to make.
There are. You can use Dr. Black's notes as a physical prop to hand out. They have his panicked, scrawled phrases like beyond space-time or source space-time, and critically, flutes, drums.
And the AI system.
D, the computer system. If the players are tech-savvy, they might notice it is processing data impossibly fast. It is the bridge. But the biggest clue is Dr. Klinger herself. If they actually manage to talk to her instead of just shooting her, she tells them. She explains the feedback loop.
So the villain literally gives them the key to this solution.
She does. They just might not like the method she proposes or the fact that they have to do it themselves.
So let's say they succeed, they do the horrible thing, they smash the machine, they knock everyone out, the loop breaks. What does that feel like?
The sub-bass hum just stops. The cacophony of flutes and drums cuts out into absolute silence. The unnatural white-blue light returns to a normal, ugly, fluorescent yellow. It's over.
But is it really?
Well, you know, in Delta Green, winning just means you survive to file the paperwork and deal with the sanity loss.
And come up with a cover story for the mass murder or assault of a dozen top-level scientists.
Or explain why a multi-billion-dollar government research facility is now a smoking crater. Good luck with that report.
Before we wrap up, I want to recap what we could call the golden rules for the handler running this.
Okay. Rule 1. Track time rigidly. Use the clock prop. Do not be vague about time. Time is a monster in this scenario.
Know your 4 iteration start times by heart. 10.00 a.m., 18.46, 20.57, and game over. Have them on a Post-it note.
Don't hold back on the lethality. Death is a learning mechanic here. Kill the agents in Iteration 1 so they learn to fear what's coming in Iteration 2.
And Rule 4, which we started with, use the handouts. The org chart and the map save your brain power for role-playing the terror. Don't make yourself remember everything.
Absolutely. Delegate the information to the paper.
You know, here's where it gets really interesting for me. The final, lingering philosophical implication. This whole scenario suggests that the universe only exists because we observe it.
It weaponizes the anthropic principle.
Right, and it suggests that something absolutely terrible is just waiting on the other side for us to finally notice it. It's like a monster in a dark room that only exists or only attacks if you shine a flashlight on it.
It completely flips the script on scientific curiosity. Usually, science is about illumination and discovery being a good thing. Here, illumination is death. Ignorance is survival.
So if the players succeed, they haven't defeated Azathoth. They haven't won a great victory. They've just closed the curtains, they hidden under the blankets, and pretended they're not home so the thing outside doesn't see them.
For now.
For now.
And that is the real lingering horror of observer effect. You stop this one loop, but you know what's out there now. You've seen the court. You've heard the flutes.
And you can never, ever unsee it.
And as we know, in the world of Delta Green, that kind of knowledge is a contagion. It will fester.
Well, on that profoundly cheerful note, I think we should wish good luck to all the handlers out there who are planning to run Observer Effect. It's a beast of a scenario, but it is a memorable one.
Just remember to watch the clock.
And don't blink. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll see you in the next iteration.
Or will we?
Don't do that. See you next time.